Jurassic World Evolution 3 is the latest and greatest dinosaur pack management sim to hit the shelves. Building a theme pack full of prehistoric animals has never felt better, but it's still no walk in the park. So today, let's go through a complete beginner's guide to Jurassic World Evolution 3. For this video, I'm playing on the sandbox mode with standard settings and medium cache, but the advice here can be taken into any game mode, albeit with a few tweaks and challenges depending on what exactly you are playing. When you start up a sandbox game, you have an empty map with some starting cache and nothing else. Immediately pause the game because you're going to want to do a few things before you let your cache start draining. First and foremost, you need a park entrance. There's no point in building a dinosaur park if people can't come look at them and be charged exuberant amounts of money to do so. Pick whichever entrance you like and place it anywhere you want. I like to pick somewhere close to the edge for aesthetic reasons and somewhere central for logistical reasons, but you can place it literally anywhere you want, and it honestly won't make a massive amount of difference. Next, you'll want to build your operations zone. This is where you'll have most of your staff buildings, and whilst you don't technically need to place them all together, I like to do it for ease of powering and maintenance, as well as aesthetics. At the bare minimum, you'll need your control center, science center, expedition center, and maintenance facility. You'll also need to power all of this with a backup generator, and while you're at it, build a maintenance post. These are extremely important to build all over your park to ensure all buildings are being monitored. Simply assign maintenance teams to them and you should stay in tip-top shape. Once this is all done, it will allow you to get to work building dinosaur genomes and start filling your park with animals. Once these are all built, you'll want to hire your first couple of scientists and get them sent off on some expeditions for your very first fossils. Real quick on hiring scientists, to start off with, I normally just hire for what I need. So right now, we need some logistics, so focus on 1 or 2 scientists with a decent logistics skill. If they have anything that improves expeditions, even better, because you're going to be doing a lot of that all game long, so it will always be useful. Beyond this, try and keep a good balance of logistics, genetics and welfare so that all tasks are doable without needing to fire and rehire. Also, try to get a range of different abilities as they can really make a difference for speeding up and cheapening a lot of what you'll be using them for. As for your first expeditions, you start with a handful of species available, but I will always go with the classic Gallimimus. They're cheap at every step of the process from expedition to synthesis, so make a great first dinosaur for your packs. Plus, they can cohabitate with a bunch of different species, so mean you can make one enclosure and keep everyone happy. You should have a decent amount of cache buffer at this stage, so by all means, pick whatever tickles your fancy. Just make sure you get some fossils and start building that genome as fast as you can. Meanwhile, you should also prepare somewhere for whatever species you've picked to live once they're brought into this world. Whilst you can't know their exact environmental needs before they're in the park, you can start building fences to create an area for them to live, as well as a hatchery to create their eggs once you're able. As a bonus tip, you can keep one hatchery for as long as you want and simply airlift any dinosaurs out that don't go into the connected enclosure. This does slow things down considerably, means you miss out on the adorable exit animations, and can tend to put added stress on dinos, but is a good way to save space and money. And of course, don't forget to build a viewing gallery so guests can actually see the dinosaurs once they are released. Oh, and make sure you build a gate because I always forget. Speaking of which, once whatever dino you pick has been released into their enclosure, you'll want to make sure that they are comfortable. This is easily done by selecting one of them and clicking to the Comfort tab. From here you can see exactly what they want in their home and hit the Edit Environment button to go make it for them. This will even highlight what they like with a little heart, so you know exactly what you need to add. It's worth noting that once released, they slowly start to explore their enclosure and build their territory, so it can be worth letting them finish doing this first, otherwise they may begin begging for water despite there being a lake just across the way. Regardless, once they are comfortable, that's pretty much it. Pop a ranger post somewhere that covers the entire enclosure, build a response facility and assign a ranger team to that post, and you're all set. Excluding events like disruptive weather or sabotage, they should remain well behaved and happy and attract guests to start making a nice little profit. Speaking of which, whilst you start off with a nice hefty sum, you don't want to keep bleeding money and, not to get all capitalist, you want to be making as much as you possibly can so you simply don't have to worry about it. Once you have dinosaurs in the park, you'll start making money from ticket sales, but that's scratching the surface of the money you can make. Firstly, and this can be done before guests or dinosaurs, you want to be taking contracts whenever you are able. These will give you goals to achieve and in exchange, you will be rewarded with cash. Some of these even have a bonus if you complete them under a certain time. When picking a contract, you want to weigh up how easily you can complete the goal with how large the reward is. Whilst it may be tempting to go for the largest amount every single time, some objectives may take a lot longer to complete. However, a lower reward completed quickly allows you to take a new contract afterwards, so can be worth choosing if you know you can get it done quick. I can't possibly say which will be easier to achieve for your specific game, so you'll just have to learn through a bit of trial and error. and if you pick one that is taking far too long to complete, don't be ashamed to scrap it and get a new one. Outside of contracts, the most obvious way to make money is by getting more dinosaurs. Every dino has an appeal rating, and whilst I'm sure there's some complex formula written on a whiteboard somewhere that converts this to cash, I'm going to keep things simple. More appeal means more guests, which also means more money. Having a wide variety of species is also key to boosting appeal, bonus points for cohabitation, and bonus points for baby dinosaurs, but we'll get back to those later. Keep adding more and different kinds of dinosaurs to the park, and you will attract more guests and make even more cash. And speaking of guests, once they get to the park, that doesn't mean you can stop taking their money. I know I'm talking about a video game, but I feel gross even saying that. Anyway, guests have needs, and you can charge them money to satisfy some of those needs. There are 3 different amenities you can provide in your parks, and all of them work pretty much the exact same way. However, that doesn't mean that they are super simple, and where you place these along with what you stock them with can have a major effect on how well your park does. When placing them, you want to aim for central, high traffic areas to maximize your coverage. Guests don't want to have to travel across the park for a snack, so make sure you spread them around to keep everyone happy. Once placed, your work isn't done. You want to open up their menus and change their product to ensure you're maximizing profits and meeting the needs of your guests. Guests come in 4 different types. You have general, who are just what they sound like. Your average guest who just wants to see a dinosaur. You have adventure. These are your thrill seekers and want to get up close and personal with dinos. Nature are of course very interested in seeing dinosaurs in as natural and undisturbed an environment as possible. And luxury, who want the best, most prestigious treatment possible with rare dinosaurs and expensive goods to spend their millions on. Whilst you don't necessarily need to know all of this to make amenities work, it's worth knowing when you get to building more advanced attractions, as you can get a pretty good idea of what will attract who. Anyway, back to our amenities. All you really need to do is hover over each option and stare at the profit indicator. Simply pick whatever makes the most money, and you're all set. Do the exact same for features, and boom, you are maximizing profits for amenities. Do this for drinks, food, and shopping, and you are all set to be making stacks on stacks on stacks. However, amenities are more of an ongoing process. The more guests you attract of various kinds, the more the balance can change, resulting in the most profitable options changing around. You don't need to babysit this too much, but if you get a moment and want to make the most money possible, just do a check on these from time to time. You should also check to see how their capacity is doing. Obviously, if you have a ton of guests, you may need to build more or larger amenities buildings. An easier way to keep an eye on this is from the site economy menu. From here you can see your satisfaction rating, and if it's below, say, 95%, you may want to look into building some more. Guests also have other needs, and whilst you may not be able to charge for all of them, they are just as important to keeping guests happy and safe. And of course, a happy guest will stay longer and spend more money. Restrooms and shelter are fairly straightforward. Just ensure you have these spread throughout the park, wherever guests may be. Shelters in particular are extra important, as if there's a weather incident or dinosaur escape, you'll want guests to get to safety as quickly as possible to avoid having to pay for costly lawsuits. Accommodation requires hotels to be built throughout your park. These only have to worry about capacity rather than placement, but for an added bonus, you can place them with views of dinosaurs for some added appeal. And lastly, transport. Alongside paths, you can eventually unlock monorails and more to allow quicker guest navigation of the park. Similar to restrooms and shelters, simply place stations spread throughout your park and close to attractions, connect them all up, and you are golden. Path capacity is technically another guest need, but is a little bit tricky to manage. Essentially, you need to make sure paths are wide enough to accommodate all guests, and you can view high traffic areas from the path tool menu. Make sure paths are wide where they need to be, and don't be afraid to add alternate routes around your park to spread the load. As long as you meet all these demands and keep dinosaurs from escaping and eating people, you should be doing great. But one last thing that guests love even more than dinosaurs is baby dinosaurs. Yes, we finally have dinosaur breeding, which allows you to create juvenile dinos in your parks, and these are just as cute as they sound. Breeding dinos is actually relatively straightforward as long as dinos are happy. Firstly, you need at least one male and female dino. Females can be created with any viable genome, but males require at least 70% genome completion to be created, so ensure you are analysing plenty of fossils. Once you have them released into an enclosure, you simply need to research and build the indicated nest from the fertility menu and cross your fingers. Some dinos have other requirements, such as the Gallimimus requiring multiple nests close to each other, but these will be displayed from the fertility menu or when placed in nests, so will be hard to miss. Once eggs are laid, you simply wait for them to hatch and boom, baby dinos. It is worth noting that juvenile dinosaurs can have different needs to adults, so make sure they are all comfortable before you get too busy with something else. And don't worry about overcrowding, dinosaurs will regulate their population fairly well and won't lay eggs if their enclosure is getting too full. However, if you want to control this manually, you can either delete nests or enable contraceptives for certain dinosaurs. This is especially useful when you're trying to breed specific dinos with specific traits to make the best rating juveniles you can. You can get really precise with it and make specific breeding plans with selected dinos, but if you're not that bothered, simply build the nest and let them get busy. Once all of this is on a roll, you pretty much just complete the gameplay loop of researching new species, building their genomes, and releasing them into your park. This raises your rating, which means more guests and of course more money. At this point you can start to have some fun and really build the park of your dreams. Research will allow you to access all kinds of things to add more to your parks in every area of the game. First off, you can create enclosures for flying and aquatic dinosaurs to expand the types of animals on display. You can build all kinds of advanced attractions like viewing galleries that let guests get even closer to your dinos, tours that travel through your enclosures, zip lines to fly above them, and even encounters that allow guests to directly interact with smaller, less dangerous animals. You can improve the logistics of your park with dedicated power infrastructure, security cameras, and even global dinosaur trading, if you're a bastard. Or if you instead want to focus on the dinosaurs themselves, you can research gene modification, allowing you to manipulate traits to make the most appealing animals you can, or even create hybrids to really stretch the science to its limit. The bottom line is, there are tons of options for how you want to build and improve your park, so it really is up to you at this point. Just make sure green line goes up so you don't run out of money, and you should have a great time. But what I want to know is, what dinosaur would you want as a pet if you knew it wouldn't go crazy? Honestly, I've been loving the Lystrosaurus because just look how tiny they are, but maybe more of a Chunkingosaurus head instead. Let me know in the comments below, like, subscribe, and if you want more Jurassic World content, then check out this video where I went to a preview for this very game and I met a real life dinosaur.